This is the Judge Jeanine Show.
Welcome back to the Judge Jeanine Tunnel to Towers Foundation show. Joining us now is the former special agent in charge of the United States Department of Justice Special Operations Division for almost 10 years. Please join me in welcoming Derek Maltz to the Judge Jeanine Tunnel to Towers Foundation show. Now, everybody, you've heard Derek Maltz. You've probably seen him on Fox as well. And he's currently working for PennLink as the Executive Director of Government Relations. But as the agent in charge of Special Ops, he played a vital role in developing and implementing DOJ's and Department of Homeland Security's nationwide deconfliction program. He was responsible for coordinating multi-agency efforts that resulted in the capture of the Sinaloa cartel kingpin El Chapo Guzman. Okay, I don't need to say more. I could go on, but I'm not gonna go through it now. All right, Derek Maltz, good morning and welcome to the show, Derek. Now, this past week, the President of the United States, Joe Biden, says that he's going to send 1,500 active duty troops to the southern border at the end of next week, the ending of Title 42. They will not be engaging the migrants, but will be acting in an administrative role supporting Customs and Border Protection. Now, as I recall, in the omnibus bill in 2021, Joe Biden cut Border Patrol by $500 million, and now he's got to get more people, more active duty troops to come from a variety of Army units, and serve, he says, mostly for 90 days. Is he schizo, or did he have a lobotomy, or what changed his mind?
Well, Judge, I can't answer that. Thank you for having me back. What I can say is that, in December of 21, Joe Biden made it clear to the public that international drug trafficking was an extraordinary threat to the national security, foreign policy, and economy of the United States. And basically, he's left a wide open border the entire time he's been in office. And by the way, his legacy right now is 200,000 dead Americans in the last 2 years, plus the mass amounts of unknown people in our country from all over the world. Millions of people that have gotten into this country, and it's really concerning. But remember, the CDC just came out with stats this week how fentanyl overdose deaths increased 279% over the last 5 years. So we have a very, very serious issue. I'm not sure how they are acting these days in the government because it doesn't seem like it's in the best interest of the taxpayer and the American public.
Okay, so you say 279% increase in fentanyl over the last 2 years?
5 years. That's according to the CDC, Judge, but I want to make a little point on that. Yeah. I don't trust any of the stats that are coming out of CDC. They're not timely. They're not accurate. They're very inconsistent, but I can only report what they're reporting because I don't have access to these death numbers.
Well, you know what? I keep hearing that. Nobody trusts numbers anymore, especially after last week. We see Randy Weingarten, has emails back and forth with the CDC, none of them talking about when we can reopen schools, but every metric that requires the schools be closed. So the CDC, as far as I'm concerned, is certainly malleable in terms of who the players are. But okay, so now we've got the end of Title 42, which clearly means that we're not going to turn people around with the possibility of COVID, whatever. But now we're basically going to instead of catch and release, we're going to have 1,500 troops assisting in catch and release into the interior of the United States. Isn't that the whole point? Aren't there 40,000 at the Darien Gap or El Paso? Where are they lining up to surge our border or lack thereof?
They're lining up all over the place, Judge, because they know once they get in, they're in, and they stay in, and then they can do what they want. And the military, just like our Border Patrol, when they sign up to protect America, not to help facilitate the invasion of America. That's how insane this is, Judge.
Yep. And it is an invasion. Do you remember 2-3 years ago, Derek Maltz, you and I would talk about this, and they said you can't use the word invasion. You can't even use the word surge. The truth is that that's exactly what it is. They said if we use those words, it was racist, it was this, it was that. But the truth is that this country is no longer a sovereign nation. To me, it is a globalist landing spot with benefits. And these troops are being brought in to assist in the assimilation of the immigrants or migrants who are coming in. And there's already a humanitarian crisis. Where's the UN, by the way? Why aren't they here doing something?
The military also, if you remember, a couple of years ago, over the last 2 years, they were using military aircraft and flying these migrants into different cities, and it was under the radar, and everyone was pissed off when they heard about that. Why is our U.S. military moving these migrants around the country so they could push them out to different cities? But, one other thing I wanted to say, just because it's really irritating, Judge, Secretary Mayorkas told the Senate panel at the end of March, right, and I'm going to quote, "The record number of Americans dying of fentanyl overdoses is now the single greatest challenge we face as a country." But yet, look at his actions, right? He'll tell the American public he's got operational control of the border, and it's basically a free-for-all, and now we have to send military down there to help do the administrative processing to get them into the country. It's
well,
like
the amazing thing is that
stuff up, Judge.
You can't make this stuff up, but it's almost as though, Derek Maltz, don't believe your lying eyes. So when Peter Doocy says, wait a minute, if you've got control of the border, why do you need 1,500 troops? And Karine Jean-Pierre's response is, don't be so dramatic. Don't be so dramatic. No drama. I mean, oh my gosh, answer the question. The truth is that the American people, at least people who listen to, networks or media outlets that talk about this are aware of it. But you know what? The country is changing, and Joe Biden is doing everything he can to change the country. And, just last week we had an illegal who ended up killing, 5 people because they asked him not to shoot his gun because the baby was sleeping. I mean, this is serious stuff, and no one even vets them. No one cares about who they are. Just come on in. And now the amazing part of it is that Chicago, one of the country's first cities, is struggling to handle the migrants. And Lori Lightfoot, the former mayor, says that Governor Abbott has to stop sending migrants to Chicago because it's dangerous and inhumane. Well, and then Mayor Adams, at least Mayor Adams in New York City is starting to say, the Biden administration's responsible for this, although they want to criticize the Republicans. And then you've got a mayor in El Paso who's a Democrat. Nobody's saying to him, stop sending migrants from El Paso. But, if these big cities can't handle these migrants, these illegal immigrants, why do we think the southern border can handle them?
Right. I mean, like Tom Homan said something one day, and it resonated because it's now in this country, in this great country, it's now legal to be illegally here in America. This is the mixed messaging that we're sending in regards to the rule of law. Judge, a couple of things I want to make sure it's clear. Like when we talk about numbers, some numbers that are accurate is that in the middle of April, 5 or 6 dead, 12 poisoned in a 24-hour period in Kalamazoo, Michigan.
In one town.
18 dead in Milwaukee in a couple of day period, right? Onondaga County, 40 poisoned in a 2-day period, right? The 5 mall workers in Hackensack back in March that went out on a break at the Cheesecake Factory to snort some cocaine, and they went down, and they were, Narcan revived 4 of them, but one single mother with a 9-year-old kid died.
Oh my
And when
gosh.
you look at the numbers, like, when CBP recently seized 3.5 million fake pills in the port of entry in San Diego, and if you look at the DEA statistics that 6 out of 10 pills can potentially kill, we have an attack on our country like we've never seen. China's behind it, as we said 1,000 times, Judge. The Mexican cartels are doing the dirty work for the Chinese, and our communities and families are suffering. And by the way, the last thing I'm going to say, because the American public needs to realize that what's happening at the border, it's going to take some time, but we're all going to feel the impact economically in our schools with the crime rising. That guy that just killed 5, that's going to be around the country. That's not like an exaggeration. That's not an embellishment. It's going to happen. They're all over our country.
Well, Derek Maltz, isn't it time that people in parts of the country that are protected, so to speak, recognize how many are here? I mean, what have we've had over 4 million in 2 years, and I'm sure it's more than that. But I think it's time for the other cities, the northern cities, to experience it because they've got big budgets. And you've got Mayor Adams, who recently said that Biden failed the city, and he said 50,000 migrants bust into New York City from the border states, is too much, and New York City can't afford it. Well, if New York City can't afford it, who can afford it? And, Mayorkas said that Joe Biden delivered a solution to the crisis on day one of his term in the form of immigration reform legislation. Derek Maltz, thanks so much for being with us on the Judge Jeanine Tunnel to Towers Foundation show. Keep up the good fight. Derek Maltz, you're the best.